if you ask me when I was a little kid, what do you would like to do when you grow up? I would probably say a couple of things. One, I want to be an inventor, and two, I want to make games, video games. Um, One of the things that my mother always remember about me when I was a kid is that I was constantly open up electronic things and building things, and she has this anecdote that mother has to create some humiliation to the sons, that she always tell that she had a replacement, a spare glass from my window. And actually, she said that I had four or five because in some periods of my childhood, I used to blow up the windows weekly. Yeah, and actually it's true because I had a Chinese epiphany when I was 10. I learned how to make gunpowder and mix in sulfur, charcoal, and potassium chloride, and then you can buy in a pharmacy. And for me, that was a whole new era of inventions, from rockets to you know detonating the teddy bears of my sister, a lot of things. But essentially, that is very well connected of who I am because I get bored in school. I always got bored in school, and because the way that I like to learn is by trying things and by trial and error. Yeah, I probably was a typical problematic. Well, imagine, a kid with gunpowder. I was, the typical problematic kid. I used to blow up the toilets of the school. Actually, I had a couple of toilets in my victims. Also, when I was 13, I got my first computer, and my first computer was a Sinclair ZX81. It's a computer made in the UK by an inventor, Sir Clive Sinclair. And that also is connected because Sir Clive Sinclair was for many, many years my model. Because this crazy scientist, inventor, who created the first pocket calculator. Um, it was not the Japanese, it was Clive Sinclair who invented the pocket calculator. Then the revolution in personal computers in the UK. And then ultimately, his biggest dream was to build an electric car, a Sinclair C5, and he lost all his company and everything because of that. If you ask me who was your role model, I would probably say that it was the Doc of Back to the Future. That's what I wanted to be. Really. I wanted to be a person who has a workshop in his home and bring up these amazing things, artifacts. But life took me to a different place. I almost became a lawyer to start my first company, which was an ISP, an internet service provider. It was 95, internet was beginning, and I decided to start that company. Then after that, a series of successes and failures, and here I am. But that's the compressed story of who I was, because I love the process. Building something is what really did creating stuff. Santiago MakerSpace is a connection from what I just told you. I decided to be an inventor, plus a new industrial revolution that is going on right now. The maker movement or do-it-yourself movement. I saw this movement uh, evolving more into a subculture that I think eventually is going to change the way that we build things, we understand things, and we learn things. Um, Now, if you look from behind, the movement, it looks like a bunch of crazy guys doing crazy things. Uh, but you can say the same thing about the Hackers Club in the 70s building, things. They were the personal computers, and Apple came out of that. Or the nerd, like I was, playing with modems in 94, or the BBSs in 92, AOL, doing blue boxing, and that is the internet. So here now we are seeing a similar change, a similar uh, transformation that will impact us in our life. So I am here in Santiago. I'm a little bit too far away of this movement. I go to San Francisco. I visit hacker spaces when I can in cities that have one. But I decided that here we need one. We need one, and so in February, after I make 40 years old, so I get into this crisis, midlife crisis, and said, I gotta do it. And so without any plan, like I never do a plan. If you think too much about things, you don't do it. So I rented a space. I built the furniture. I have my workshop at home with laser cutters and 3D printers. I have my dock, Back to the Future version in my home because I always kept my dream of being an inventor, in my workshop. So I brought all the machines into this space, and I put it together. It's 400 square meters. It's big. And after I finished, I look and say, well, now it's done, but who the hell is going to come? And the people came. One of them is Greg and Tim. They are doing amazing things, and you probably know about that. And then, just wonderful people from architects making parametric architecture, visual artists, a guy who is a die-hard inventor. His dream is to build a small electric car to clean up the air of Santiago, transforming the way that we transport. And that, for me, is the resemblance of why, back in the 80s, Sinclair tried to do. Also, a group of school kids that are participating in the first. The first is a robotic competition that is held in the U.S. Founded by Dean Cameron. Mm-hmm. And these guys came to the space and said, well, we don't have a space to build our robot. This space is exactly what we need. I mean, what we didn't have, and the other teams of the competition had, is a space like this that we can build it. So they're building the robot inside the space. And then other people. I mean, there's a industrial designer who came just after an accident in the car. He flipped the car, and his sister broke the spinal cord. So he's now is rehabilitation, and he's building a machine, a cheaper machine, a robotic machine to help rehabilitation of his sister, but also the idea is to put one in every rehabilitation center in Chile, lowering the cost of the technology. So those are the things that are happening. And of course, I completely crazy about what is happening. I didn't expect it, but it's I'm having a great time. From probably this is the most exciting project I have ever been, and it's the first one that is non-profit. so maybe that was the key. I truly believe that the way that we learn is broken. The university is completely broken. The schools are broken. I cannot believe that the world has changed so much, and this thing is still in the same way that the Greeks teach or the medievals teach. Something is not right. Also, I I know that there are many different ways to learn. You know, as I told you, I learn by doing. It's a different way. The schools are not built toward that discipline. So my vision here, this is the prototype of what I want to accomplish. This is the first step. What we want to accomplish is to build a new campus, a new way of learning things. Wasting 6 years or 5 years of your life without starting something is a lot of time. Um, Here, here is usually this is what happens. That's why I drop out of the university. You know, if you want to build something, you cannot wait 5 years. In your most productive, intense, revolutionary moment in your life, when you want to change the world, is when you are from the 18th, 20s. You want to change things, you want to change the world, and you're basically in this indoctrination. This is the moment that you're probably more, spiritually headed to the good thing. So that is the target. That is the objective. If I can project this as I plan, in a couple of years, my dream is to have a campus, 4 times, 5 times what I have right now, with an open coursework and preparing early person that really wants to change the world to do it effectively. That's the dream. As I said, we are in a new industrial revolution. We are in a much more conscious, sustainable, generous industrial revolution. It's a new era for inventors, for crazy people. So I'm excited. First of all, the one that I always use and I always teach, I work in, my company is a video game studio. I am here in my office. I have 60 engineers, that I work with. And what I always tell to the guys is, whatever you do, try to be the best in the world. But that may sound cliche, but there's a formula for that. If you try to do something that is out of your scope, you will not be able to achieve that. So you need to focus and reduce the scope until you think that you can do something that is the best in the world. And no matter if it's tiny, if it's just a little change, if it's focused, and if you do it with that mindset, it will have impact. And the big impact is about all these little, opposite changes. So in a big company, it's about that. If every person behaves like that, you will have a great company. Also, what I learned is about working with teams. How important is to have a structure that help the development of natural leadership. I don't believe in pyramidal organizations. I hate them. I don't fit in the corporate world. I don't like it, and I cannot stand it. And it's impossible to innovate. So what we have in all the companies that I founded so far is the same structure, which is flat, and the leadership is natural. And sometimes you will be a leader, sometimes another person will be a leader. But it's basically who is the most capable person to become the leader in that particular project or situation. And it's working really well. You need to have passion, you need to have the capability to execute, and then must be an opportunity for your vision. If you have all those three things, then you're forward. I don't think that just technology will make us happy. I think that it's technology plus a new mindset, uh, a new way of thinking. And I think that is already happening. Um, when I think about the future, I don't think, I mean, even if I am a geek and inventor, I don't project it in robots and flying cars. And uh, uh, I hope that, overall, whatever it is, it's a world that is less boring, um, less anally structured, um, more less violent, and more fun. Uh, I I don't think. I mean, that right now we are in that state. Uh, just from reading the news, it's, it sucks. But I see a lot of people trying to push the change, and I see the generations that are below us with a new, different mindset. So I am super optimistic.